Human factors should not be underestimated in maintenance. In fact, some studies suggest that between 12 to 20% of accidents in aviation are the result of maintenance human factors issues, or if you like, 50% of engine-related delays or issues are due to aviation maintenance. When it comes to adopting a human factors approach, we need to think about it from a safety management point of view. I mean, really human factors should be integrated, if you like, into our safety management system. Now that's not that difficult. Even in a small organisation, you can do simple things like having those regular briefings and toolbox talks, encouraging people to speak up not just about hazards and near misses, but also about the errors that perhaps they engage in or they think occur. Having regular committee meetings, maybe a dedicated person that you can go to that might not be the manager perhaps, and then using all that information to ensure that people are very clear about what the ongoing human factors problems are.
It all comes back to just taking the elements of a safety management system, formalising them, because many of us have got lots of great ideas in our head, lots of lessons we've learned along the way, but the intent with a safety management system is to formalise how we actually document our processes to actually be able to show and demonstrate that we've taken some lessons of the past and we've turned that into our process and our policy that drives what we're doing every day. In general, the workplace that we've seen in the video, they're all good people. They're all genuinely turning up, doing a good job and wanting to do the right thing by the company. But if you look at some of those little factors, the pressure that was put on by the owner of the company essentially, and the relationship, you see that little bit of conflict between he and his wife, that in itself is just pressure that's increasing, I guess, a drive to get something done without potentially looking at some of those other good ideas, letting the customer know that maybe, look, the aircraft won't be ready and we're going to do the job, it'll be a day late, but we've got some options for you. So you tend to find when people start to get really busy, they get task focused, they get so set on just the task they're doing, they start to lose their ability to see other options. We then look at the workplace. We've got the young apprentice, so the new guy, what do we notice that he's wearing? He's got an iPod in one ear. Okay, that is a part of changing society. What you do need to understand though, is any lamey working in that sort of workplace at times is expected to be able to perform a task 100%. If you look at Sports Psychology 101, if you've got to perform critical tasks in what we would consider a tightly coupled system like working in a maintenance organisation, where your errors can lead to catastrophic outcomes, you have to train yourself to be able to remove some of those distractions and actually be in the moment where you are focusing solely on a job.
Some organisations have come up with standards. They go under a number of different names, but they come under a universal standard that they apply across their business. And they may be 10 or 12 different standards that apply equally. And one of those can include distracting personnel in the workplace whilst they're performing their work. That as well may be included in poster campaigns through in-house training programs to reinforce those values. But they include other things such as only accepting authorisations like deviation authorisations in writing from approved personnel, rather than verbal instructions. The removal of do not touch tags, for example, from critical systems whilst maintenance is being performed.
We saw in the video a couple of small changes, the formal meetings around a table and removing some distractions like the mobile phone. Many people might look and go, oh, come on guys, that's just some minor changes, updating the whiteboard. But what we know, you don't need to invest thousands of dollars in a cultural reform program. It's the attention sometimes to the little things that will actually make a big difference and can significantly improve the behaviour within the workplace. Look, one thing I've learned over time, it's getting the balance right. There's no doubt, I'll be honest, anyone that says safety is our only priority, that's not correct. Priority is to have a sustainable business, okay? And that means cash flow. Now, what do we know is a big enabler of that? Safety is a critical enabler, because in this scenario, if the aircraft had crashed, that would have been the end of that business for what in hindsight we could have said were some relatively cheap fixes. So the balance that a lot of systems are not getting right is making sure they're empowering someone to take on the accountability and responsibility as a safety manager and doing it properly.
People talk about generative cultures. These are cultures where they're not complacent. They're looking for the next risk or the next problem. So again, to encourage that, you've got to give people opportunity and the courage to speak up. Some organisations I work with have very simple speaking up or intervening policies, giving people the licence to intervene. Other ways that you can do that is create scenarios or environments where people come together to talk about how the job has been done. Encourage debriefing after potentially complex jobs to learn from that. This creates knowledge, if you like, about where things can be further improved.
One of the ways you can really judge whether or not an organisation has a good safety culture and also commitment from management is when you talk to management and then you talk to people on the shop floor, they say the same things, that their perception of the organisation is the same. Quite often we see a mismatch between what management feel is happening and what people on the shop floor feel is happening. So in order for people to be valued and feel valued and have a strong culture, everyone should really have the same understanding of where they are, what's important, and that safety is a top priority and actions really do match words.